Hello everyone and welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where I'm pleased to announce that we're going to be casting a new series of videos. So as you've probably worked out, in the top right hand corner is our red Protoss. It's me, Aussie Starcraft. In the bottom left hand corner it's going to be Dazza, our blue Terran player. So just to give you a bit of an introduction to this series, this is going to be me playing on the ladder. Now a few people have asked what league I'm in, how good I am as a player, that sort of thing. To clear all of that up right away, I'm a distinctly average Starcraft 2 player. I laddered a fair bit back in the day and started doing alright, but with time constraints and other things, I haven't been able to ladder near as much as I'd like to. I used to ladder on average as a gold Protoss, which I know is nothing special. Now I haven't laddered in some time. I've been so busy casting and doing other things that it has in fact, well, currently this is my placement match for Season 6. And I have a feeling that because of MMR degradation and that sort of thing, it's going to pop me in Bronze League. So we'll see how we go. I'm versing Dazza, who I do know is in Bronze League. So just so we're clear, guys, these are going to be low-level StarCraft 2 games. It's going to be me on the ladder. You'll see my successes and failures. You'll see different strategies that I try and muck around with. But the idea of this series is not to watch pros playing at 400 actions a minute. It's to have some fun, to devote a little bit of time to players that aren't necessarily pro players, but mostly just to have a lot of fun. So I'm going to be trying some different quirky builds and just trying to have a bit of fun as I ladder and not take myself too seriously. I know that by trade I'm an accountant and I've got a lot of things to spend time on. I'm never going to be able to ladder enough to be a Grand Master, so just looking to have some fun and introduce a bit of that spirit sort of into the community. So got me scouting out down here. Now Dazza's already completely walled off, which sort of gave me the idea of what I wanted to do in this game. Now my goal, once I saw this wall off, was to try and exploit it. I thought if I build a quick void ray, I might be able to bust this open with my first couple of units, because I figured his production would be fairly low in the early game, and I might be able to exploit it and supply block him by killing these depots early on. What I didn't notice, however, is that Dazza was building a bunker in my own natural, trying to prevent me from being able to expand there. So I missed that with my scout. Didn't spot it with my worker moving out. If you check my vision out, I still haven't seen that. He's built it just out of my vision, so missed that one going in. But I'm throwing down a second gateway. The idea being I want to get this mothership core out and cause him a few problems. So we'll see how I deal with this bunker harass. Now most people wouldn't position it sort of where Dazza has. They would hide it behind the mineral line so that I could build my nexus or start my nexus and it would kill it rather than blocking the actual throwdown. But Dazza obviously just starting out himself and trying a few different tricks. Got one marine moving out now. He's got a second barracks as well. He's going to go for an engineering bay. I haven't thrown down my Stargate just yet. Thought I'd get Warp Gate first. The whole idea of this this build was to try and get out a quick Void Ray and a couple of Stalkers and then threaten this. And you'll see I moved out with my mothership core, but because his marine was on move, not attack move, he didn't start shooting my mothership core. On the same token, I didn't shoot him. If I was attack moving, I probably would have picked that up a lot quicker. My Stalker here, I start to see these marines moving out a little bit better with my map awareness now. I pick off the first marine and get an opportunity to pick off another one here. So actually getting a nice little unit advantage. Started knocking out a few Stalkers. My first Void Ray is about to come out, and now the bunker is a little bit of a threat, but not a massive threat. There's only 2 Marines here, so I'm not particularly worried about these Marines doing a whole lot of damage. I know if these 2 Marines streak up into my base, they won't actually be able to do a whole lot of damage. I can probably kill it with a single unit and the help of my workers, so not particularly worried. He does decide to move out now, which disrupts me a little bit. In hindsight, I probably should have got the mothership core around behind his base and caused some problems, but he does now have 5 marines up there just in case I do any damage. Bit slow to move my workers out of the way. I was trying to get my Stalkers, but I already had them rallied out the front. But now that this Stalker helps clean up, we see that I lost a few workers. I lost 2 workers, but in that exchange he lost a bundle of Marines and only killed 2 workers. So I was feeling alright about it. I knew at this point he hadn't expanded and neither had I. But I had a feeling I was going to see a lot more Marines. So my Stalker's here getting a few kills. He's again on the attack command. Bit of a pro tip for everyone. Try to not be on the move command as often as possible. It's going to be in your best interest to be attack moving. At least your map awareness will increase. You'll be drawn to those alerts as your army engages people around the map. Using my first Void Ray, I try to gun down this bunker, but he does manage to get a salvage. So in the nick of time, he actually uses the repair so that he can finish the salvage, and that was a nice little catch for him. Starting to get a few more Stalkers out now, though ideally they would have already been rallied down here. Getting my pylon established a bit late, but just still trying to work out how I can bust my way in here. I sort of missed my window of opportunity. I really wanted to be attacking down here with a Stalker or 2 and a Void Ray before he had very many Marines out. So definitely not a pro strategy, but I was hoping to catch him in the very exposed sort of Marine only portion of the game. But as you can see, he's now got plenty of barracks and he's churning out a lot of Marines. He's still on 1 base though. He probably, while he was so aggressively moving forward, should have gone for another base. I decided, yep, I'll throw down my 2nd base, and shortly I'll try and decide what tech path I'll actually go for. Now I know that I'm Stalkers versus non-stimmed Marines, so at this point I start to abuse my Stalkers a little bit, just micro back and forth, trying to pick off as many as I can. Probably could have been a bit more active with these Stalkers and killed off a lot more Marines, but I was trying to make sure I had some sort of follow-up plan. So throwing down a few more gateways and trying to get my 2nd base established ahead of his. And we can see that he's going for just straight Marines. At some point I imagine he's going to get Stimpack, but he's actually elected to go 2 factories, so some Widow Mines. Not a bad choice. They are a pretty good counter to the Stalker. I'm going to have a bit of a look with my Void Ray, try to see if I can do anything, but obviously he's cottoned on to what my game is. Throwing down a missile turret to help defend the top of his base, but by this point I'd already decided, and there's my first look at the Widow Mine as he tries to burrow that in range of my Void Ray. So know that he's got those now. I'm going to move around the side, see if I can just harass or annoy him. I've actually got an Oracle moving out as well, planning to sort of do a bit more economic damage to him. And now deciding to fall back with my main army. I know at some point I sort of expected him to have Stim already. Hasn't quite got it yet. It is about halfway done, but I expected this army to push out with Stim at any moment and kill my ground unit. So decided to pull back, and here I finally throw down a Robo, deciding, okay, I've seen a bit of factories, not much in the way of starport tech at the moment, so I'll go for some Colossi and see if I can just mop up this Marine Widow Mine sort of force with some Colossi. So just continuing to build forces for a bit. Now you see I'm actually hovering a decent amount of minerals and gas. I really should have been producing a lot more workers. Okay, so here I'm trying to take out his command center. Unfortunately, I got distracted with my Oracle, got 1 kill, but then it aggroed onto the missile turret. So here I'd start to back up and just trying to annoy him and distract him. Right now I know I've got a lot less units than he does, and I'm trying to recover economically, so just trying to distract him as much as I can, poking back and forward with these air units, just trying to prevent him from being able to focus on his expansion. Really, one of the main things I could have done to improve is, you see, I have really low saturation in my main. I actually had a couple of idle workers sitting around for some time, one sitting here for example. Really need to watch that idle worker count and flick them back to work as soon as I can. I was hovering stacks of gas, which is really weird for a Protoss, which is one of the signs that I'm not saturated properly in my mineral patch, because I should be able to spend down 2 geysers of gas quite easily. Finally grabbing my armor upgrade. Always grab armor first against Terran, much more useful in reducing the Marines and Marauders damage. He's finally going to get his siege tank up and established. At this point I've already built an Immortal, so I'm not particularly worried. I know I can take out the siege tanks if I want to push. My idea now is I'll grab some Colossi, try and keep them hidden from him, and then push out with 2 or 3 of them before he has Vikings and just capitalise on it. So I see him trying to build this missile turret and I'm like, hello, little pick off. Little things like this that irritate and annoy your opponent are really good. Poke away at the sides. Now this wasn't as good. I was trying to kill the missile turret. Obviously I stayed too long with that void ray and it got picked off. But by now I've pretty much abandoned the air units. I've decided, right, a few colossi and some decent upgraded charge lots should put me in good stead. So I've got +1 weapons and +1 armor almost finished up. And he's obviously worried about the air. He's going for high-sec auto tracking, which I think's a bit of a, well, not the best move he could make at this point. Probably would have profited to grab the armor first instead, as what he doesn't know is I've only got 1 void ray. Now you can see this scan here. He's actually missed my robotics facility, so he hasn't seen the Colossus, and that comes into play in a few ways over the game. My Colossi catch him by a bit of surprise, but I decide that I'm going to keep my Colossi separate, and that actually hurts me when I engage in a later game. I'd kept my Colossi just a bit too far away, so I took a lot more casualties than I probably should have. As you can see, I've gradually built my workers back up in my main base and my natural. Still not mining gas, probably because I'd been hovering it before and over-focused on minerals. It's really important to check the fundamentals over and over. Check that you're producing workers. Make sure they're mining effectively. Don't have idle workers. Lots of little things, but it's the little things that make a big difference. So before you start super worrying about your micro in a game and micro in each individual unit in a fight, you're better off devoting the effort to macro and trying to ensure you're building units consistently, mining consistently, doing all those things. But it's my first ladder game in a long time, so I'm, you know, feeling pretty rusty. Know I should be expanding, so throwing down an expand and see what I can do. Obviously he's pretty worried about my air units, but he's got a couple of Vikings here, got the high-sec auto tracking, so sort of overkill in anti-air defense. You can see he's forcing a lot of missile turrets. He's now up to about 6, and that's quite good for me. When you can get your opponent to overreact like this, it's always a good thing. Moving out a bit of a drop here. Now, one of the things I didn't do well is I didn't have my observers up. Normally I'll get a Phoenix or something and roam it around this side to pick off drops. Phoenix great for doing that and great for alerting you that you have a drop incoming. I didn't actually know this was here, and particularly when he was sitting so close to my base, I really should have had some sort of vision there. But I did know this army was moving out, and so I was trying to position in a way that I could pick off these, and I got one of the Widow Mines, but the second one killed a Zealot. And you'll see me go looking for my other observer. I know I produced 2, so just trying to bring that down and get the advantage. I do eventually work that out. Yep, there I go. Now I've got my Colossi, and you'll see this is where I forget my Colossi. I had them separate. I bring them down to engage, but I get a bit distracted and sort of charge in with my main units right about now. I see, yep, here's his army, his siege tanks sieging up, and then I use that aggro to sort of push in. I know, oh, he's attacked me, I better go in, but my Colossi weren't actually firing, so if I'd had these down there initially, it would have been a much easier cleanup. I pick off that army quite nicely and decide, alright, off I go. He counterattacks up here. Again, a lot of Marines, but still no combat shield. I decide, alright, I'll just let it go for the time being. Where's my mothership core? I threw down a photon overcharge. They are only 1-0 Marine, so warp in a few Zealots, and the Colossi comes out, which is going to force that away. And if they were bigger units, I would have taken a lot more damage. It would have been able to kill the Nexus, but neither of us have particularly focused upgrades. I'm at 1-1, he's at 1-0. I just go for it straight up the ramp. Unfortunately, my Zealots are caught behind my main army, but the Colossi being the main damage dealers here, 4 and 3 kills, able to mop up the siege tanks quite easy. There is a single Viking here. We pick that off with the Stalkers and some sentries, and the Colossi just continue to power through. So this game is pretty much done, and Dazza, man of manners, GG's out of the game. So yeah, that's the first episode of Aussie's adventures on the ladder. Hope you guys enjoy it. By all means, this is just a fun section, so you can get on and tell me how terrible I am for hovering so much minerals and gas when I'm not maxed out. But the whole point of this is to have some fun. Encourage you guys to go out and do the same. Jump on the ladder, have a couple of games. Let us know in the comments down below how you go. Did you win? Did you lose? So did you get cheese? Tell us what happens. What do you love and hate about the StarCraft ladder at the moment? And yeah, let's enjoy ourselves. So by all means, hit the ladder and tell us how you go. And we'll see you next time in the next episode of our ladder adventures. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.